Trump continues to pound the table on alleged voter fraud. But just moments ago, Trump's attorney general telling the AP the Justice Department has no evidence of widespread voter fraud, certainly not enough to change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election.
Trump in the election and the attorney general, who has so often been on the president's side, declaring today that the Justice Department has found no evidence of widespread voting fraud.
Giuliani continuing to peddle a dangerous lie. And he knows it's a lie. The truth is that Barr has no knowledge of systemic fraud because there has been absolutely no evidence of systemic fraud, which we have seen in state after state, Republican and Democratic led. Giuliani continues to lose in court again and again and again on these issues because judges appointed by members of both political parties have said he simply has produced no proof to back up any of his allegations.
Tonight, a judge Trump appointed himself, handing him a searing defeat in Pennsylvania. After weeks of trying to overturn the results of the election, his legal team has come up with nothing. No credible evidence whatsoever of widespread voter fraud. In Pennsylvania today, the federal appeals court ruling his claims have no merit. In a blistering 21-page opinion, Judge Stefanos Bibas writing, calling an election unfair does not make it so. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither here.
Bill Barr arrived at the White House today just minutes after declaring he has found no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
One of President Trump's staunchest allies says he has not seen any evidence of widespread voter fraud. Attorney General William Barr tells the Associated Press the Justice Department hasn't uncovered proof of any fraud that would change the outcome of the election.
Well, the election is over. It has been over. And today, President Trump's own attorney general spoke the long-known truth. There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the election. This is from Bill Barr.
This dangerous effort to undermine the election is destroying his supporters' trust in free and fair elections. It is deeply unpatriotic.
This is incredibly significant for the Attorney General to come out and say there is no widespread voter fraud that would impact the outcome of the election. It's directly contradicts what we've heard from the president and his allies.
Bill Barr bails, deserting Trump on voter fraud. The Attorney General tonight says the Justice Department has uncovered no evidence of any fraud that would change the outcome of the election.
His comments come despite the president's repeated claims that the election was stolen and Mr. Trump's refusal to concede his loss to Joe Biden.
Directly contradicting the president's claims that the election was stolen.
We know there was massive fraud.
But Barr told the Associated Press today, quote, "We have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election." He specifically shot down one of the president's most explosive claims, that voting machines were manipulated to help Joe Biden win, saying simply, "We haven't seen anything to substantiate that."
This is a significant statement coming from the Attorney General and from one of the president's loyalists.
Now, Bill Barr has been beyond loyal to Trump, beyond loyal. So this is a major and public shaming of his boss, who tonight continues to peddle his baseless conspiracy theories. Barr bailing now, telling the Associated Press, quote, "To date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election."
The fact that even Bill Barr is saying this.
He made the break from the president in an interview with the Associated Press, said FBI investigated and could find no proof. Still, Mr. Trump continues to insist without any evidence at all that the election was somehow rigged, fraudulent, and should be overturned.
This is especially significant because Barr has been among the president's most steadfast defenders. Shortly after the election, he authorized Justice Department lawyers to go look for fraud, but they found nothing.
The Attorney General was very clear here. The Justice Department had investigated specific instances where, allegations had been made. They've looked into these claims and they've determined there was no evidence of widespread fraud.
The president recently implied that DOJ itself was involved in some kind of sinister plot.
This is total fraud, and how the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved.
For Attorney General Barr, this was just too much. As he told the AP, there's a growing tendency to use the criminal justice system as a sort of default fix-all. And people don't like something, They want the Department of Justice to come in and investigate. All this comes as the president's lawyers are traveling the country making unfounded claims of election fraud.
I've been following the civil cases that the campaign has filed. They've lost 39 of those cases. I think they've won one and they've lost 39, and courts continue to dismiss them, with the Third Circuit recently saying it's not enough to allege fraud or a problem. You have to actually come into court and prove it, and they just haven't done it.
In an interview with the AP, Attorney General Bill Barr said he has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the election. He went on to say there's a growing tendency to use the criminal justice system as a sort of default fix-all, and when people don't like something, they want the Department of Justice to come in and investigate it.
Remember, this is the same Bill Barr, the same Attorney General, who has done Trump's personal bidding at nearly every turn.
There have been thorough investigations inside and outside the Department of Justice. Attorney General Barr alluded to this. We've also had 30-some-odd courts side with the defendants against the plaintiffs, where the Trump legal team has been making just absolutely unfounded, unsubstantiated, inaccurate, and often wildly contradictory and downright misleading claims. Nothing has been produced by any evidence to suggest that there is anything that could overturn this election. And now the Attorney General is putting his stamp on that side of the ledger as well, saying his team has looked into it. They haven't found anything either.
Inherent in what Bill Barr is saying here is that Joe Biden won this election.
Trump's been baselessly trying to make that this election was somehow stolen. And you have to remember the source here, Shep. This is coming from, not Mitt Romney, right? Not somebody who's an elected Republican, who's a Republican official, who's often on the outs with President Trump. This is one of President Trump's closest allies, one of his most loyal cabinet members, somebody who has been criticized, frankly, just in the last couple of months for doing things just before the election that people found questionable, like, for example, moving to potentially put out more from the Durham investigation before the election, et cetera. So this is somebody who the president has liked up until now.
Nothing there, no evidence there, the courts, and now even loyal Bill Barr.
For him to publicly call foul on Trump's fraud conspiracy is a major abandonment of Trump on what is right now the single most important thing in his presidency, right? His desire to hold on to power. And it leaves Trump on an island of only his most die-hard sycophants on this issue. The only people left, people like Rudy Giuliani.
William Barr has just debunked President Trump's claims of widespread election fraud. In an interview with the Associated Press, he said, quote, "To date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election."
So now even Bill Barr says there's no evidence of mass voter fraud. When Trump has lost Barr, it's over.